We should have a competition for how stupid uh, editorials for The Hill can get. Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro's quiet move to restore elements of free enterprise to his nation's economy should serve as a cautionary tale for anyone listening to Senator Bernie Sanders' siren song of socialism in the Democratic primaries, or who is still tempted by his promises of social bliss. Maduro's move represents a desperate attempt to dampen public outrage and thus maintain his grip on power in the midst of an astonishing economic collapse that economists view as the world's worst in decades in the absence of war. Venezuela's tale is hardly a unique one. In recent decades, socialist nations across the world have scrapped their doctrinaire visions and incorporated elements of free enterprise to rescue their ailing economies. Perhaps more striking, a post-Mao China opted for a more market-based economy, as Deng Xiaoping conceded that his nation could not otherwise compete with the United States. Maduro's bow to reality is particularly instructive. It comes a decade after the Great Recession and financial collapse of 2008 and 2009 shook confidence in capitalism and emboldened the prospects of socialism and other alternative models. With that crisis long over, however, capitalism has again proven its mettle by nourishing more prosperity and higher living standards. Oh, we'll get to that in a moment. While Venezuela's economy continues shrinking at an alarming rate, the fight for survival has forced the Venezuelan government to become pragmatic. Ramiro Molina, an economist at Caracas Andres Bello Catholic University, told the New York Times, only the narrative is still socialist. It's a striking departure from Maduro, for he was the like-minded successor to Hugo Chavez, a hardcore socialist who sought to ignite a Bolivarian revolution across the region until his death in 2013. Okay, so um, let's go back to my favorite line in here, which is the part where he mentions, is this a guy? Let me look up here and see what the person's name was. Okay, yeah, Lawrence. Let's go to what Lawrence said about the. Okay, I don't know what he means by more prosperity. Capitalism proving its mettle by nourishing more prosperity. What the hell does that mean? Higher living standards. Okay, people would define the U.S. as being a capitalist system with socialist tendencies, like Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. But I mean, I've repeated this repeatedly, and I did intend to be repetitious there. Wages in the U.S. have been stagnant for 40 years. Um, and over 60% of Americans can't afford a $1,000 emergency. 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. These are not good living standards. And again, to credit, to not, because the point needs to be made that it's not about voting for one party over the other. This started before Trump, but the same whole thing of, just because what kills me about these people is that they'll let him get away with saying there's low unemployment as though it actually indicates the high standards of living of people. And when Sanders talks about free school or free health care, it's meant to ask if those things are worth being human rights, if people should have to get price gouged by insurance companies or be told that they need to go to school to get a good job just so they can get out and have a damn anchor by their leg after spending an arm and a leg to get a stupid piece of paper that doesn't mean anything or is worth the piss when they get out. And I just wish people like this would stop being so disingenuous, because I'm kind of scanning through here and I'm not really seeing any direct pushback against Sanders' policies at all. Like I see Maduro, I see Chevron, I see like nothing in particular about anything Sanders is proposing, just socialist, socialist, socialist. So instead of addressing and this is an important thing for this election cycle, and people need to be warned, instead of addressing the substance of Sanders' arguments or giving some kind of offering of their own, they want to do the Red Scare. Oh, Maduro was a socialist and Sanders says he's a socialist. So even though he's actually a social democrat who is attempting to bring the US to something that could be considered fair or equal, we're going to use this word and hope that the two of them can be linked together. So enough people who don't even know anything about either man, much less their difference, can vote for whoever we want them to vote for. So that's why I said if it's Trump versus Bernie, it'll be lies versus people.